Okay, so today on Hindustan Astrology, on our interviews with the gurus, we have a very special guest, a very dear friend of mine and a business partner. Her name is Oz Rogers, and she's also got Mr. Nibbles here today.
Right. I have Mr. Nibbles.
Hello, Mr. Nibbles.
Hello.
He's such
Says hi.
so sweet.
Yeah.
And Oz is going to talk to us today about Chinese astrology, what it is. She's going to give us a 101 on the basics of it for us to understand it. And also she's going to talk about the Chinese New Year coming up starting January 24th. And it's going to be the year of the metal rat. So she's going to give us some ideas about this year. And then also she is a Feng Shui expert. And she's a
consultant.
Yes. She's a consultant in the Orlando, Florida area. Of course, she will go anywhere to help anybody with Feng Shui, but her services are mainly in Orlando and the Florida area, really. But this is something that she has been passionate about for a long time. Now, we both have a history of being belly dancers, and so this is something that we kind of bonded with at first, and then realized that we had all these similar interests in spirituality, and that she's been doing Feng Shui for a while. So I've been wanting to pick her brain about this for so long. And also, two things. She's got a website. It is power-manifesting.com. This is where you can, find out some basic things, but also contact her there for her Feng Shui services. And also she's got some books coming out, which is very exciting. So all the stuff we're talking about today, she's just going to give us, skimming across the top, give us some advice for everybody. But if you want to get specific, you're going to need to buy her books and read them. They will be available on Kindle as well, correct? Not just hard copy.
Correct. Yeah. Right.
So there's going to be several books coming out. And a lot of what she works with is attracting power and abundance and love and good energy. Attracting energy, life force into your life. And what that comes down to is the law of attraction. And so she is a law of attraction coach, but the body of material that she's working from is from the Chinese tradition. So with that, let's open the floor to Oz. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm going to put Mr. Nibbles down now because I got to grab some paper. But yes, thank you. And I do the consulting, Feng Shui floor plan consulting, and I can do it with anywhere in the world because I work through Messenger on Facebook a lot, and you can draw your floor plan and give me the compass direction of your front door and your address, and I can go on Google Earth and look you up and give you a reading. So keep that in mind.
And that's something that I'm going to be doing with you. I'm actually going to be hiring you to help me with my living room because we're renovating it right now. And actually, as we're speaking, my husband's upstairs working on it. So that's something. And now I know as a Vedic astrologer, we have something similar called Vastu. Vastu is like the Feng Shui of Vedic astrology. And I will eventually have somebody on the channel just to talk about that and compare it, but it's basically the same idea, how to arrange your house to capture the most chi. And, that the important thing is that it changes every year on the Chinese New Year.
Right. It's really a lot of amazing information, and it all connects. And but there are several what they call schools of philosophy and forms of how you read something for Feng Shui, and I'll go through it. But it actually became into being because the villages wanted to find a place to bury their dead. Where's the best place to put the cemetery? Then it's where's the best place to put the palace, or of the emperor or whoever the leader was, and what's the best place for this, this, and this. And the Chinese, the way they see it, it's different because they combine formations of the earth, and as well as the chi that goes through, the energy that goes through the constellations and goes through people. And one thing I really, really love about Feng Shui is that they believe that there are 3 kinds of luck. And the first luck is called heaven luck. And that is what you're born with. When somebody says, oh, he was born under a lucky star. So that's what they're referring to. It's what you came into the world with. And then the second piece of luck is called man luck. And that's not how you get men. It's nothing like that. It's what you actually do, whether you decide you're going to study and learn a certain craft, or whether you're going to just decide to be a slouch, or whether you're going to just, whatever you do, it's what you create yourself. So, and then the third type is Feng Shui, which is your environment. Oh. So basically, you come into this earth and you've got 2 out of 3 that you can work on. You can come in with rotten heavenly luck, which I happen to come in with some rotten heavenly luck according to my 4 pillars of destiny chart. It's, it's like, wow, I'm going to be in the wealth zone when I'm 95. So it's like, but that's okay, because we have 2 out of 3 that we can work on, and that's pretty good. I mean, considering.
So man luck and Feng Shui you can work on, but heaven luck, you're given that.
Yeah, that's it. And there are people who are just lucky, and they are at the right place at the right time. That's heaven luck. But you can influence, and I like the idea of being able to influence. You can bank it, store it like a bank, and you can disperse it, and you can activate it, and there are places that you can remedy. And so there's a lot of things. And I have to tell you, I turned both of my houses into money houses. And I mean, so many cool things happened as a result of changing the Feng Shui. It was, I mean, you couldn't ignore it. It couldn't have been a coincidence. So, and I'll throw some tips out there also at the end on how you can make your house more of a money house. Anyway, do you want me to do the presentation now?
Right before we do that, let's just tell people, like, how did you get into this? Who were your teachers?
Okay, so I got into this actually through a friend of mine, and I lived in a house where when you open the front door, there was a stone wall, and it was the back end of the fireplace. Oh. And so my friend walked in, and she sees this, and she says, "Oh my God, your Feng Shui must be terrible." I go, "What are you talking about?" So anyway, she kind of just told me a few things here and there, and I'm the type of person that I can't learn just a little bit about it. I have to know the whole thing, and then really do it, really do it. So this was the early 2000s. So I started reading, and I took all of Lillian 2 all of her material. She's in Kuala Lumpur, and she's known as the, you know, guru of all classical 5-star feng shui. So I was reading her books, and then I got connected to someone named Catherine Weber, who is a writer who wrote for many different magazines, and she went and took a course with Lillian too, and she became a master consultant and began writing about it. And so then I went to, I got her master consultant course, and then she ended up years down the road having a conference. I went to that and got certified. My goodness, I think that was like 2009.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, many years. It's been many years. But this is something, as you know, when you're studying these old and ancient arts and wisdom, there's layers and layers and layers, and the more you learn, the more you want to learn more of. So that's how I got started in it and got certified, and I love it. I love feng shui. So I really like the idea of being 2/3, and it worked. It worked. That's the thing. I like things that work.
So how many years total now? So that would be okay.
Good grief. We're in 2020, so maybe like 18 years.
18 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a full Rahu Ketu eclipse cycle, 18 and a half years. So you're coming back to, and we already talked about this actually in your personal chart, how you're coming back to this nodal return and or inversion, I can't remember, but that's going to be happening. But then something I just want to throw out there, and I think it's very important as we're approaching, you know, any system that's different from Vedic astrology, to respect it in its purity. Don't try to compare it to something else. You know, when you start to say, well, in this system I'm this thing, but in this system I'm this thing, and it gets real wonky. So just
yeah, it gets.
But the one thing I will say that I've noticed that is similar between, like, how I would think of from a Vedic astrology perspective, thinking of Chinese astrology, is that, you know, Chinese astrology is a 12-year cycle.
Thank you. Yes.
Is Jupiter. That is the path of Jupiter. So Jupiter is somehow related, I think, with Chinese astrology. Other than that,
that is really cool. But you are correct. We are on a 12-year cycle, and I remember the last time we had the year of the rat, and that's what's so funny. It's like we're starting over here. And the year of the rat is a spring animal, and the rat is the first animal in the zodiac of the animals. So
we're starting over. It's a big one. Okay, so you want to go ahead and do your screen share?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me figure out how we can do this. There it is. Okay. There we go. Share. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take a very complicated subject, and I'm going to breeze through it, and I'm going to try and make it simple. Okay. So just hang on for the ride, and if it gets confusing, jump in. Because there's a lot of misconception about what is feng shui.
Right.
It's not just a decorating service. A lot of people go, oh, I walked into a place and I felt the feng shui. It felt so feng shui. No, it's not the same thing. And this is just the overview of what we're going to be going through. What is feng shui, the gridiron of power, what the year of the rat is, the zodiac ranking race, explanation of the Chinese zodiac and schools of feng shui, and a summary. So a lot of people have misconceptions about feng shui. They think that it's a religion, which it is not a religion. There is Taoism, Buddhism, Confucianism. It is the culture of China is embedded in Feng Shui, but Feng
That's
Shui
a
is
lot of
not a
stuff.
religion. Feng Shui is like the farmer's almanac of China. So it's not just superstition and magic, although there are people who can go that use it as such. And it's not just how you feel in a room. Although if you've ever noticed when you vacuum your house, it looks brighter.
Mhm.
That is a good example of Feng Shui working. And the gridiron of power is actually, it's developed over 4,000 years ago by the Chinese as a system of relating a person with their environment. They view the land and the heavens and people as alive or dead with qi. And in other words, their qi is alive or their qi is dead, or it is weak or it is strong. And there is a sliding scale as to all of that. And what they do with the feng shui, they have formulas, and they look on the formula, and then they know exactly how much of this they should put to balance this chi. And I mean, there are masters of feng shui that are really renowned people, and they still carry their books with the formulas in them. So they can make sure that they give accurate. They want to be accurate because this is based on, like I said, the elements, but it's also based on energy patterns in the earth. And Feng means wind and Shui means water.
Thank you. I was going to ask you that. Yes, the exact translation.
Yeah, wind and water are associated with health and good fortune. And then, as I said, the philosophies of Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism have influenced Feng Shui. But it's ultimately how the Chinese see the Earth's energy in its relationship to mankind. And that is probably one of the big differences, is that everything is enmeshed together. The environment, when I do a reading, I do a personal feng shui reading about what the person has, and then I also look at their house and where, or their building or business, and see what's around it. For example, if they are next to a cemetery, that's very, very yin, and that is going to take some special consideration. If you're near a church or a cemetery or a hospital, those have certain kinds of negative energies that have to be corrected. And if you are sitting, your house is sitting, there is another corner of another building pointing directly at your house, that's called a poison arrow, and that needs to be taken up. So everything is very enmeshed and put together. But feng shui added also the element of time. Now, these are the ley lines that go throughout the whole earth. And when you do a feng shui consult, you have to use your compass, and you have to get the direction of the front door, the back door, and the entrances, and see where they lay. And it's all based on these ley lines. So the types of feng shui schools to study, this is what I had to, and I'm still always studying, of course, but I had to go through all of these schools to learn. All of these go into actually to do a floor plan analysis. There's the Flying Star School, that takes into consideration the time factor of Feng Shui, and that time factor is how the stars move and the constellations and how everything works. But they don't name the constellations. They have instead animals of the zodiac. You have also form school. Form school was one of the first ones. Remember when I said they wanted to figure out where to put the cemetery? They went and developed a whole school based on mountains and ponds and rivers and landscape, and all of these became an animal of the zodiac. And that's part of form school. Four pillar school is natal astrology, which is personal to the person. It's very, very complicated, and I don't do it because it's actually more of a form of divination than the others. And it goes down to the hour, and every hour and every minute has a zodiac animal. It has its type of chi, whether it's weak or strong. It has its element, and it has its qua number. And this is all based on, doing a natal astrology, and it gets to be about that deep.
Wow.
And then it goes into all of the other, 12-year cycles. So anyway, I don't do that because that is more of a divination. The classical schools, the first schools of Feng Shui included form, landscape, and compass schools. And the Chinese zodiac, which is actually an ancient system of human archetypes expressed in 12 animal signs. Again, the 12-year calendar. And calculations are based on the Chinese lunar calendar. Then we have 8 mansions, which is your best and worst directions on your personal numerology. And it is a numerology thing where you take your birth date and you add the numbers together until they become one number. And then they overlay that with time, and that's what comes up with the qua numbers. And what directions are your best directions and what directions are your worst. You have 4 of each. Okay, that was a lot.
I'm loving it.
Okay, so what the Chinese zodiac is about is an ancient system of the human archetypes expressed in 12 animal signs. And each archetype animal has its own personality that affects the time period and one of the 5 elements it is assigned. So, for example, we are coming into the year of the metal rat. And that rat is the first animal for spring and the first of all of the zodiac. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you the story about how that came about with the next couple slides. It's kind of interesting. But it is the metal rat. That means the rat, this is their year, and the element is metal. It could be metal, it could be water, it could be earth, it could be fire, it could be air. It's one of the 5 elements. So, and each one is a little bit different than the other. So the personalities are taken into consideration. The rat is known for being inquisitive, shrewd, and resourceful. It's also first in the rotation of the 12 zodiac signs, meaning that this year is a year of renewal. Mr. Nibbles. This starting from 2020 New Year on January 25th and lasting to 2021 Lunar New Year's Eve on February 11th. And it's the first in the cycle. Okay, so how did they get to be in order? How did they come to be in order? So the order of they have the spring and the summer and the fall and the winter seasonal types, and there are 3 each. And we have the rat, the ox, the tiger, rabbit, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. And they each have their own personalities, and they flavor the year. Their sign is the one that is the dominant one, so it's going to have a personality clash with some of the animals, and it's going to get along really well with some of the other animals. And so when you're doing your reading, you have to take that into consideration and balance that. Okay, so here's the story. Here's the story. Oh, okay. I'm back up a second. This is what it looks like on a calendar wheel and how they are in rotation. So, all right, so the Heavenly Gate race story. This is the reason for the zodiac rankings. There were early risers, the rat and the ox. So long, long ago, there was no Chinese zodiac. The emperor just wanted to select 12 animals to be his guardian. So he sent an immortal being into the man's world to spread the message that the earliest one who went through the heavenly gate, the better the rank would have. So the next day, animals set off towards the heavenly gate. The rat got up early, and on his way to the gate, he encountered a river. And he had to stop because he couldn't get across the river. So after waiting a long time, he noticed the ox was about to cross the river. So he quickly jumped into the ox's ear. So the ox didn't mind. He was just plodding along because that's what ox do. Just keep going, going. And he continued. And after crossing the river, the rat jumped out of the ox's ear and dashed to the feet of the emperor. And that's how he won first place and ox was second.
Ah.
Uh-huh. Now, the next 2 were tiger and rabbit. They came in 3rd and 4th. They were both very fast and competitive, but the tiger was faster. The rabbit got across the river by hopping on stones and a floating log, and he made it there, but he was after the tiger. And then the good-looking dragon was 5th and was immediately noticed by the Jade Emperor, who said the dragon's son could be the 6th. But the dragon's son didn't come with him that day. So the snake came forward and said the dragon was his adopted father. So the snake came in as 6th.
Sly.
Sly snakes. And then we get the horse and the goat, and they were very kind, and they let each other go first. The Jade Emperor thought they were so polite that he ranked them 7th and 8th. And then the last, we had the monkey. He had fallen behind, but he jumped between the trees and the stones and got caught up to be 9th. And so the last 3 were rooster, dog, and pig. They just skated in under the wire. So these are the 12 animals that became the guards at the heavenly gate. Now, there's something missing. We'll show you. All right, now back to what I was talking about in form school. These are the animals that were part of form school. And form school is the layout of the land. And we have a turtle here. We have a white tiger, a red phoenix, and a green dragon. And the black turtle is supposed to be the mountains. And The white tiger is in the west. It should be placed to the right of the house. And the red phoenix is in the south, in the front of the house. And the green dragon should be placed to the left of the house. This is in a perfect world. But this is how they called the form school, because they all represented a different form. Okay, so here's the form school with the zodiac animals. See the mountain at the back? Along the side, we have a road. We have a pond in the front, and we have a river to the side. The cool thing about this is what you call the armchair position. So when you are looking to purchase a house, for example, if you can find a house that has something in the back to support it, like a mountain or trees that go up high that are behind the house, and then there's an armchair where the white tiger is, and an armchair on the east where the dragon is, and you see water at the front, and there's a particular way, if it flows to the left or if it flows to the right, depending on which way your house is sitting. And then the south is supposed to be a rock, which is a footstool for easy money.
Wow.
So this is the armchair position that you should have for your house.
Interesting.
Yes, and they have names for all of those. So the turtle, there was a flood, and the turtle was the one who carried all of the zodiac animals on his back. And as a result of that, that's where they got the origin of the bagua. That's the bagua. You see right here. There. So look, you can look all around it and see all of the different animals. It tells you the years that they come in and their direction and element. South is fire, southwest is earth. We have metal, water, earth, wood, and woodwind. And so this is how it all this is the origins of it. Now everything moves around. Mm-hmm. And for example, the rat that we have this year is metal. It's naturally a water sign, but it is going to be a metal this year because of the way the stars fly. So, oops, how'd I go back? Anyway, there. And that's how they live all the way around. And that's the bagua. Is there any questions? I mean, I'm rambling on here.
No, this is great. No.
Okay.
I just
all
say,
right.
I know that like there is a way you can, equate the Chinese signs to the Western signs, that some are air, some are, and it will line up. So that's just something that that I find interesting, because I mean there are signs, so I mean it lines up perfectly.
Yeah, it all is. Every culture has their how they interpret the heavens. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's only one truth, and then there's several different lenses how to view that truth.
Right. And this is the other thing that is very important. You have to know this inside and out when you're calculating Feng Shui. And this is the 5-element theory. And this is, there are 3 cycles. There's the productive or nurturing cycle. There is a exhausting cycle or weakening. And then there's a destructive cycle.
Wow.
So as the stars fly around and you come over a section, and there are two stars that are wood stars in the same sector, that means there's too much wood. And when there's too much wood, there's too much gossiping and backstabbing and other things that go with that. So you have to figure out how to decrease the amount of wood. If you put water in that sector, wood grows from water, so that would make the problem worse. So if you put one of the ways to weaken wood is with moving metal, like an axe, like if you're going to cut it and chop the wood. So we put a metal fan, seriously, a metal fan moving, wow. Or a clock that's metal, moving metal. So now the destructive cycle would be fire, burn it to the ground. But the problem is if you try not to use the destructive cycle, because there's always a backlash. If you do something destructive, there is a backlash to it. And so we try to exhaust it. If there's too much fire, we would rather throw some dirt on it, which is earth, than throw water on it, which is more dramatic, which is going to cause a bigger reaction.
Or air. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to memorize this 5-element theory and know the productive, weakening, and destructive cycles for all of them while you are looking at the zodiac signs and their elements, and while you are looking at the sectors that they're falling in. So, there's a lot of, going on when you're looking at working with things. And this is an example right here. This is where they naturally fall, the signs with the wood and the fire and the earth and the metal and the water. And the stars that fly over them can create double of something, and it might not be good. So these are the sectors of the Bagua. This is so much over here. I decided I'd add the one on the left that's more simple. But you can see the southeast is where you have wealth. The south is where you have fame. Southwest is the home of the matriarch, the mom, and relationships. The west is for the children. The northwest is the home for the breadwinner or patriarch, and you try to always load that up with wealth. So the breadwinner will always have a job and always make money. The north is career and business, and the northeast is knowledge, and the east is your health. And the center is the well-being of everyone in the family. So let's say you had challenges with money, for example. You would want to activate your northwest, your north, and your southeast. And you do that with one of the 5 elements. So that's just an example of it. I could actually walk through a house and not ask anything about the people. I can walk through a house and I can tell you where most of the problems are, actually. And people go, "Oh, how did you know that?" It's like, well, it just kind of fell that way. It's really that way on the.
So this is for everybody. This diagram is for everybody, for every house. And then as the stars fly over these positions, we know how to strengthen different parts of the house each year.
Right. No. This is where they are at home. The for example, south is fame and recognition. And if you want to get a position at work, you want to make sure that you get up for the promotion and that you are recognized for that, you would activate the south and the north. So you would put something there in that is one of the 5 elements to help boost that. So.
And this is for every floor, correct? Like first floor, second floor, third floor.
And every room is, you can do this in every room. It's called small Tai Chi, and the house is big Tai Chi. Okay. So you can take your own bedroom and use this low shu square and activate different parts of it. Also, here is a secret that not many people know, but let's say, for example, that you have that whole big thing of wood, and that is clogging up your southwest where the mother is. So what you can do, not only do you correct it in the southwest, you go to the center in the living area and you correct it in the southwest of the living area of your living room. Because a lot of times, for example, we have a missing sector. Houses aren't all square. They are all different types of shapes and with everything going on. And if we have a sector missing, that can be a problem. If you have a northwest sector missing, that means your husband, the man of the house, will never be home. So you need to find out how you can get him home. And there are things to do for that. But one of them is activating the northwest sector of your living room. So that's a secret. A lot of people go, oh, God, we're all gonna die. We got to move houses. We got to do this. It's like, no, actually, you can do something in your living room and take care of that. Wow. So this is how we work. We put a low shu. That's the square. Low shu is a square version of the round bagua. Okay. And we put that on the house, and then we see where each one of these are and where the flying stars are for that year. And this is our flying stars for this year. And this is a very, very tricky year, because if you will look, there is a cross in the middle from 273 and 975. All of those, well, 9 is a multiplier star. Let me say that. 9 multiplies whatever comes in there, whether it's bad or good. So that can go either way. But you've got your difficult, inauspicious stars forming this cross in the middle. That's why I said this year I really would love to do a lot of Feng Shui readings, because it's going to be a turbulent year. It's a year of renewal. It's renewal. And the number 7 star is shaped like a knife, okay? Okay. And a blade. And it's also metal. And there's, a shadow side and a brighter side of that. The brighter side is you can prune with this. It's the renewal time. You cut back the bush and the new growth comes out. You take away the dead things, the things in your life that are holding you back and causing you to not move forward and to not complete things, or that have been not serving you well. This is the year you have the energy to actually prune that away. Well, on the other side of that, the shadow side is it's a blade, and the 7 is a violence and burglary star. And so this is the year, if you don't have a security system, you might want to invest in one. And in anything to do with blades and cutting. So this year, we are going to experience that. So the way to calm this star down is with water, actually. That's the element that needs to be in the center. The Chinese have a blue rhinoceros that does a very good job in taking care of the number 7 star, but it would be blue water that would calm this sector down.
I have a question real quick before
Yeah.
I forget it. You keep saying the star associated with this sector. Are they talking, I mean, I would love to know the actual stars that they're talking, that correspond.
I know. They don't say. That's the thing about it. They don't say exactly what star that is.
That kills me, because you're talking about studying, and I'm thinking Kritika Nakshatra, which in Vedic astrology is associated with the Pleiades.
Yeah.
So this
well, I'm sure that there is information out there that the ancients have used to depict the different stars, because I was looking at the form school, which is the oldest school, and they have the form of the tiger and the turtle and the dragon and the phoenix, and those look like they're laid out on star maps, which I'd love. I'm gonna explore that, because I don't like to not know.
That's the stuff that just makes me get up in the morning and go, I want to learn more.
Yeah, that's how it works. So it fits here, it fits here, it fits here. It's pretty, and so, but anyway, that's layers and layers and layers down. What they did was they, when they look up in the sky, they see monkeys and hawks and all of this. And I don't know what stars. Right. Yeah. That's what they named them. So anyway, and they fly. They call them the flying stars, and they fly to this corner and they fly to that corner and all that. We do have in each corner, we have the most wonderful stars, and the number 8 star is in the northwest this year. So men should do very well. They should actually do very well in their jobs and in their money this year. The 3 star, which is in the north, the quarrelsome star, that causes bickering. And so, you want to exhaust that with some earth. The number 1 northeast victory luck is a beautiful star, and that is activated by light. And the 5 yellow is a wood star, and it's in the east, which is a wood sector. So that's your double wood that I'm talking about. The 5 yellow needs to be moving metal there to chop up that star so it doesn't hurt, because that's called the bone breaker star. There's accidents and bone breaking, and it's probably the worst star out of all of them. And the southeast is another heavenly star, which will bring wealth to that corner. So you've got your wealth in the northwest, which they say that is the entrance of heaven. And they say that it flows down to the southeast where it pools and becomes wealth. So you've got money coming in the northwest, coming down to the southeast and pooling into wealth. So, and also, the last time we had a metal animal in the center, gold went up.
Ah, yes. I've heard that too. That
yes.
Gold is going to go up this year, that if you're going to invest, don't invest in stocks, invest in gold.
Invest in gold. That's what that's about. That's the light side of the metal. So, and then the 3 killings is, it's an illness star, and it is drained by water, which is going to be kind of hard because the south is naturally a fire sector. So you have to add some earth there to take care of it, because You know, it can cause illness, and you should never turn your back to the three killings, they say. You should always face the three killings because, you know, that way they don't get you. And then the southwest is the matriarchal corner and also the relationship corner. And we have the beautiful 4-star there, which is for relationships. So it could be a good year for single women to meet up with that special guy. So, and then the number 9, like I said, it depends, you know, the stars are going to fly every month and every day, actually. And, you know, keeping up with it is a lot of work, but whatever stars in there in a month, it's going to multiply it. So we look forward to the month where the 8th star comes in, and then we don't look forward to the month where the 7th star goes there. So, and on the right, you see, this is another example of how you put the low shu square on a floor plan and determine how it lays out.
Now, how did you come up with it? How do they come up with the numbers every year? Is there like
they fly backwards? I can tell you that next year, go back.
But I mean, like, where do you go to get your information about this year? You know what I mean? Like, do you calculate this yourself? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's out there. It's all out there, but you can calculate it yourself. Last year, the number 8 star was in the center.
Okay.
So I knew it was going to be a 7 this year, and next year it's going to be the 6 because it goes down. Each one of these goes down. It goes backwards. It goes backwards. So, you know, you can project it.
And you know, the nodes go back. This is lining up with the eclipse, the north and south nodes of the moon, because they're the only planets that go backwards. The rest of them go forwards.
Oh, that's so cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, next year, I got to tell you, next year, we're going to have a great year. This year may be a little bumpy, but next year we've got the 6th star in the center, and it's going to bring us a lot of relief. But, you know, looking at this, there's a lot of good to say. Like I said, the number 8 star is going to bring a lot of prosperity to the household. And, you know, the other ones, you just have to know how to take care of them. That's all. And then you can drain them and exhaust them and, you know, get them, they call it a remedy or a cure. So as I was telling you, the bagua, it extends per each hour of the day. It also goes into body parts. So the whole thing, and as you see, each body part has its element. And this goes all the way into acupuncture and qi and how it works. I mean, the Chinese have everything all connected together. It's quite interesting. And I mean, you can have, you have problem in your small intestine. See this, I can never pronounce it, Ayurvedic. Vedic. I think that's very similar to this because you have your pitta and you have your, which different ones elements. Have different elements that go with different body parts.
Right, but we don't use ether. That's something that's different. In Chinese system, they include ether, 5 elements, whereas we only have 4.
Yeah. But it all works out.
It all works out. Yeah.
Yeah, it all works out. It all works out. But I just find it interesting that the Chinese have gone all the way down into every body part having this same elements and stuff. I just find that fascinating. So, all right. Now we're talking about qua numbers, and a qua number is the numerology type based on your birth year and the sex that's used. And it's known as 8 mansions or 8 houses of Feng Shui, which means you have 4 auspicious houses and 4 inauspicious. So you have to determine your favorable directions to face and locations for important areas of your home, such as your front door. For example, there are East people, East group and West group people. And depending on the qua number of the male, and it may not sound right, but in this day and age of females being in charge of things, but traditionally, Chinese say that you take the male's qua number and whether he is East or West. If you have a man who is a West qua, then your front door and your oven door should open to the west. Chinese people will tear up their houses and rearrange them to make sure the oven door is facing the direction of the patriarch.
Wow.
And because that is the mouth of the dragon.
Right.
So just little interesting things.
Interesting.
But in our case, let's say you have a single woman or a woman who makes more money than her husband, which doesn't balance well in Feng Shui, but we know that it's out there. So you take the direction of the breadwinner and whether they are East or West, and you need to let the front door fall in one of their directions. They have 4 good directions. It should fall in one of their 4 good directions. So these are the qua numbers, how they go around the compass. And on the right, I just have the East group qua number 1349. I just have that, not the West. But there are auspicious directions and there are inauspicious directions. So let's say your man is an East man. So your house should open, your front door should be in the south, southeast, east, or north if you buy a house. That's why I'm writing a book on buying and selling your home with Feng Shui. Because it's kind of important. That's how you can turn your house. That's how you turn your house into a money house, right there.
There you go.
That's how it starts, right there. Yeah. So, and if if the door opens into any of those inauspicious areas, and for some reason he cannot get ahead in his career, he's just keeping stumbling block after stumbling block. Maybe he goes through different jobs and different things like that. I look at their front door to see where it is and also where their oven door opens to see if that can be remedied, because 9 times out of 10, that's where it starts. Yeah. Wow. Okay, with your qua number, you receive information on your lucky directions to face and best locations for areas as your front door and bedroom. Qua number offers you ways to enhance your Feng Shui. There are people who do Feng Shui readings who don't include the qua, which I think is seriously bad, because if you, as I said, if you ignore the patriarch's best directions, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You can have all kinds of stuff in your house, make it look like a Chinese restaurant, and all this is still not going to work. You have to know this. Right. So you want to eat, sleep, and eat at the dining room table and face your good directions, and spend as much time in those as possible. And hopefully the other thing you do, the inauspicious directions, you want to have them fall in the kitchen, the laundry room, or a toilet, because that'll drain that energy. So that's what we use those rooms for. And this is a lot of information to show you, but this gives you an idea. The qua numbers are across the top, 1 through 9, and it shows you the blue is the auspicious and the yellow is the inauspicious.
Wow.
Yeah. So You're while you're doing your flying stars and your zodiac animals and your 5 elements, you're going to add in your qua number to make everything work. So,
Right.
so the elements of a feng shui reading that I do, for example, I'll do a natal chart for the house. And that is taking the house when it was built and finding the year it was built and which direction it faces. And that has a whole section on it for that particular type of house. We right now are in period 8. That's why the number 8 is auspicious. We will be going into period 9 in 2024. And the houses that were built in period 8, which was starting in the 80s, are going to no longer be auspicious. So there needs to be a renovation made to them to bring them up to a 9. So when I do the reading, I will look at the natal chart for the house, and maybe they renovated the kitchen, and maybe they, like did what you're doing, changing the flooring and all that. Well, that's updating it to this particular time period. And so that's good. If it hasn't been, then it's got dead chi. And you don't want to have the dead chi. You want to paint the wall yellow. You want to, bring something to bring it up into this period. So when it gets 2024, we're all going to have to paint our houses or something to bring it back up to the period it's in.
Right.
So I also do the qua numbers of each the house inhabitants. So, if you're dealing with east or west group people in worse directions, a man and woman can be east and west, and they each have their best directions and their worst directions, which is the opposite of the other. But you can still get along. You just have to know how to work it. And like I said before, the patriarch is the number one thing. That's the bar that you look for. You take care of him first. And then, you take care of the woman and the children after that. Then we do the zodiac animal and the element of each of the house inhabitants. Now, I happen to know that the year of the rat, the rat's secret friend is the ox. Mm. So let's say the rat of the family, if there's a rat in the family, is having problems at school with bullying or something, or, they're having issues at the workforce. You take an ox, a little figurine of an ox, and you put it in the rat corner. So now he has his secret friend. And, some people take that secret friend and they have that and they put it on their desk at work. And, so because that's their secret friend. And then they have allies. They have 3 other allies. But the secret friend is really good. And so that calms some things down. But that's an example of where you use your zodiac animal. And then the element, of course, we talked about that before, about, too much wood or too much fire and how to take care of that. So then we look at the environment surrounding the home. And like we said in the beginning with the form school and the armchair position, we want to make sure that's happened. There are some houses you may have noticed that, for example, they're at the end of a street. There's a street that goes straight down, and at the end of the street is the house. And people come and go in that house. Nothing ever seems to go right in that house. People move a lot. And that's because it's getting all of the chi. It's too much chi hitting it. And they can have problems with that. And that is another situation where, you could have all kinds of stuff set up on the inside, but you look outside and you see that road is there. You have to put up some bushes, or a wall or something.
That's interesting you say that, because there's a house I'm thinking of that the whole neighborhood is nice, everything's nice, and this house is at the end of a cul-de-sac. All the other houses are great. The house at the very end of this cul-de-sac, it's like a hurricane hit it.
Right.
I mean, we're talking hoarders. We're talking
Right.
like, what is this house doing in the middle of this neighborhood? I mean, it blows my mind when I go there because I'm like, how is it that all of this energy is being directed at this poor house? And that explains it.
That's it. You'll see it every time. You don't want to be at the end of a cul-de-sac. You don't want to be at the end of a curve too. If the road is curving, you don't want to be at this end of the curve. You know, just different things like that. But that's why you have to look surrounding the home. You want to make sure that you don't have somebody else's corner of their house right pointing at your front door, because that's a poison arrow. So you have to correct that. So yes, and then we do the low shoe square, the overlay of the annual flying stars. That's the numbers. Mm-hmm. The application of the 5-element theory of nurturing, exhausting, or destructive energies. Mm-hmm. And then the application of the zodiac animals or other auspicious items throughout the house to create balance and remedy or accent certain energies.
Yeah, this is a lot. I mean, that's the thing. People have to realize that they're really getting their money's worth when they hire you, because you have to do so many hours of research for one house that, I mean, they're really, I don't think people realize the depth that you go to. So thank you.
Yeah, it's about, depending on how many inhabitants and the issues, but it's about a 10 to 15 page report. So
wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's one of those things when you get started on it, you go, God, I just got to do this right. I have to complete this to where it's accurate. I can't just leave out this. So this is what we do.
Awesome.
So personality, I'll tell you a little bit about the rat. So
this is for this year. This is like predictions for 2020, correct?
Right. This is the things that we have ourselves. The rat is going to bring a little more of that out in us. So you'll see that people. Well, there's people who are never optimistic no matter what happens. But as a general thing, they're optimistic and energetic. People born in the rat year are likable by everyone. So the rat this year is going to be kind of one of those. Did you hear that?
Uh-huh.
That was a thump. That means pet me.
Ah!
You want to be petted.
Mr. Nibble says, Mommy, you're talking too much. Get over here, pay attention to me.
Sorry, kid. I'll be right with you. Anyway.
I'm showing my rat qualities. I'm being clever.
Yeah, he's being clever. Yeah. Anyway, they're sensitive to other emotions but are stubborn with their opinion. Their personality is kind, but due to weak communication skills, their words may seem impolite and rude. On the financial side, they like saving and can be stingy. However, their love for hoarding will sometimes cause them to waste money. They're clever and quick thinkers, successful but content with living a peaceful life. Okay, so here is a quick energy snapshot of 2020 for you.
Okay.
Okay, the 7-star brings a tendency to let go of too much. Watch that decluttering efforts don't make you purge items you wish you'd held on to. So, couples,
that would be Jupiter K2 conjunction. That's what we have for a while this year. Yeah, until K2 goes into Scorpio, Jupiter's going to be riding with it in Sag. And Jupiter expands everything, and K2 wants to let go of everything. K2's the spiritual guru saying, you don't need this material stuff.
Oh,
and
there
Jupiter's
you go.
Going, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So couples may reignite their relationships and fall deeper in love because of that 4-star in the Southwest. Men may find that new business opportunities arise in 2020 and that promotions come to those who are industrious and apply themselves. Now, also, thank you, 7-star and the 2-star and the 5-star. Families could be struck by a major illness or accident, loss, or divorce. That's that all that 7 and 5 and 2 all coming together. But there's a dark side and a light side to all of it. Education comes with employment and money-making opportunities. Pursuing a degree this year could create an increased salary. Women may wish to travel internationally or with friends, and romance may come through travel. International investments can bring payoffs and increased investment. Tech stocks could take a jump, and gold could go up. And children are in a good sector this year. They receive rewards, internships, and public recognition. So
wonderful.
So to make these 2 statements your watchwords: security first, and keep your eyes on the prize.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, one thing I've noticed about everything you've said about how to improve, the luck in your life, in Vedic astrology, what we would say is that what you're doing is you're improving your Venus in your chart. Because what is Venus in our life? Like if I want to improve my Venus, what do? I go get my car cleaned.
Oh, yeah.
White cars are Venus. White is the color of Venus in Vedic astrology. So keeping your home clean, making your body beautiful, just taking a shower. Like for women, doing your hair, putting your makeup on, obviously that's Venus, but making your house clean, making your car clean, making things organized and smelling beautiful, all of that stuff, when you do that to your environment, you're automatically activating Venus. And Venus is the planet of billionaires.
Oh.
Yes, Jupiter is the planet of millionaires, but Venus is the planet of billionaires, because by the time you get to that level of money, you have taken care of everything in your life, and then you're buying things like yachts and jet skis and things that are luxury items, and luxury is Venus. And so to improve your Venus, you need to clean and beautify your life, your surroundings.
Well, I think that I'm going to put that at the top of my list. That
and
sounds
it really
great.
works. I swear, if you want to feel better, I always say, and sometimes I really have to remind myself that if I'm feeling depressed, it's because I'm not doing my mantras, because when you're doing your mantras, there's no way you can be depressed. You cannot sustain that energy, because the positive energy of the mantra comes in and knocks it out. And if you're feeling depressed in your home, clean it.
Clean it.
Spring,
absolutely.
And just the action of getting rid of the dirt is going to automatically make you feel better. I mean, let alone the physical activity, but just, and it's like when you go to those home shows, and you see everything set up, and you walk into that perfect house, and you go, oh, so beautiful, that feeling.
And then they go, oh, Feng Shui.
They go, oh, $500,000. No, I mean, but the thing is, it's that you don't need to have a bunch of money to achieve that feeling. You can be poor as dirt, but what you do with your surroundings shows the dignity and respect that you have for yourself, your family, for everything around you. So it's not about what you have. It's about doing the right thing with what you have to bring about the emotional feeling, because it's all about changing our emotional state. I've been working on this molecules of emotion with Candace Pert for several years, and she's just proven that we literally get addicted to the chemicals in our bodies that keep us
Right.
in these negative states, and it's like a chemical
Right.
addiction, you know. So if you can change your emotions, then you change the chemicals in your body, and then that changes how you approach things. So
Mm-hmm.
just the simple things of, you know, beautifying your life, I mean, it really let alone aligning yourself with the flying stars and everything that you've talked about every year, you know, how you feel in your home determines everything.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a reflection of yourself, your home. And, you know, the people who are the hoarders, they've lost something along the way. They lost something and they don't believe they can get it back.
Right.
And so when I go into a house and I see these kinds of piles of stuff, you know, I'm like, you know, somebody lost something.
Mhm.
And but cleaning it and getting it back up and beautiful again, you know, it makes them feel better. It makes, you know, it's almost like medicine
Yeah, it's
for them.
therapy. I mean, and this is the, I always say you remind me so much of my mom in so many ways. And she loved interior design. She loved, I mean, she was always, you know, working on renovating and beautifying her home, and her house, wherever she lived, it was like a hotel because there would be no clutter. Even her, oh, there's the Bible. He
Yeah,
would,
it was.
he would have she would have, even her garage was perfectly organized. Like there was literally no clutter in my mother's house. And she, you know, she would get up every morning and, you know, get dressed, do her hair and her makeup. It didn't matter if she was going anywhere or not. You know, she was that's how Venusian she was, you know.
Wow.
And I love that feeling of walking into a house and it feels like a hotel, you know. I mean, you have to have the personal touches, but it's the lack of clutter, you know,
Right.
that like it kind of takes your breath away. It's like, I can breathe now, you know?
Yeah, overstuffed houses, that's what our problems are. I mean, you find so many
And garages.
illnesses and stuff, but your houses are overstuffed. If you're overstuffed in your house, then you're going to have a hard time moving and getting things done
Hmm.
in your life. So,
Hmm.
you know.
So the takeaway for this year for everybody, the year of the Battle Rat 2020 is
So it is two words, two things. Security first, make sure you're safe and get the burglar alarm and all
okay.
of that. And then keep your eyes on the prize. It may be a little chaotic, but the good is going to be really good.
Hmm.
So
Right. So
that's
the
that's
delay
a
might set us back, but keep your eyes on the prize. Don't let the delay bother you.
That's right. It's a year of renewal. We are renewing. And it's interesting that it's 2020. You can see things more clearly with
Yes,
2020. So
exactly.
that's going to help us remember we got to keep, things, we're going to see them very clearly this year.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so much, Oz. This has been
Ah,
a
thank you.
wonderful, beautiful presentation. Go ahead and stop the screen share, and we'll just say a quick. You don't have to go backwards. Just go down to the bottom and just click the stop screen share. That should turn it off, and it'll. There
There.
we are. Yay!
Yay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nibbles.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. It was such a pleasure.
Good. And I know this will help a lot of people. And that's the reason why, you know, I do astrology, why I do these interviews is because I want to get the information out there and to just really help people. You know, right now it's like we've got so much turbulence going on all over the world, and a lot of people are hurting, they're in pain. And if we can just give them a little bit of water, you know, just to soothe their soul and to give them some reassurance, then we've done our job.
Okay. All right. little fuzzy boy. Anyway, yeah, hope is the thing. If a person has hope, then their energy changes right at that moment. So,
Right.
yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Oz.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste. And I'm
Namaste.
sure we'll have you on again for another episode of Interviews with the Gurus.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks. Bye.
Bye.